Welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to tie for you Baetis Mayfly Nymph. Hook I'm using is size 14. I'm going to add about 5 or 6 wraps of lead wire right on the shank to add some weight to the fly. And I want this lead wire to be right where the thorax is going to be. And I'm going to secure that with some black 6/0 unit thread. Now I can trim this waist. For the tail, I'm going to use 3 hairs of polar bear. This one is dyed brown. I want to make sure those tips are lined up, and I want to measure this tail to be the full length of the hook. Tie this in right on the top of the shank and make some wraps towards the back. Now that I reached the point where the barb used to be, I'm gonna reach with my thumb underneath and lightly split those hairs. Now I'm gonna make some wraps between them. First one goes between the middle one and the one far away from me, and the second one goes between the middle one and the one closer to me, and finally the last wrap goes underneath the tail. That one is gonna lift the middle hair up, and they're gonna stay like that even in a strong current. Now trim the waist, and now I can bring the thread back, stop right at the base of the tail. For the body, I'm going to use olive dyed turkey bite, and I want to tie this in with a concave side facing myself. Tie it in by the tip, and that way once I start wrapping, I'm going to get the nice segments of the body, and the concave side is going to be facing the shank of the hook. Now, before I start wrapping, I like to add a drop of head cement right on the shank. That will protect this turkey bite a little bit. I'm going to use my heckle pliers, and when you wrap this, be careful, don't pull too hard, especially the first couple wraps, or this turkey bite will break, so take your time. Now I'm going to cross my thread, make a few nice and tight wraps, tie this in. I can trim the waist. Now I'm going to take about a dozen or so pheasant tail fibers. Make sure the tips are nice and lined. Pluck them off the stem. Now this is important. I want to measure this to be the full length of the hook again. And that's important because if you don't measure that correctly, proportion of the fly, length of the legs won't be good. So I want to tie this right on the top of the shank with the tips facing the tail. tie this in nice and tight. Now I can trim the waist. Bring the thread back. Now for the thorax, I'm going to use some of cream color dubbing. I want to make a nice thin noodle here. Leave the thread hanging right behind the eye, and I'm going to fold those tips now, pheasant tail, towards the eye. I'm going to make a couple nice and tight traps right behind the eye. So here's our casing. Trim a few of those hairs a little bit. Now I'm going to reach with my thumbnail under, and I'm going to wiggle this a little bit just to spread them. And I want to have about roughly the same amount of fibers on each side. That's going to be our legs. Once I'm happy, I'm going to hold them with my left hand and make a few more tight traps over the legs to keep them in place. Make a little head. And all I have to do is whip finish. About 3-4 wraps, just fine. Make sure everything's tight. Cut the thread and add a drop of head cement. A little bit on the casing just to protect it a little bit better, and all the way down to the head. Make sure that the eye is nice and clean. And here we have Baetis Mayfly Nymph. I hope you liked my video. Thank you for watching. Feel welcome to subscribe, leave comments, and tight lines.